On this day in history, we remember the remarkable individuals who shaped our world. Welcome to Who Died Today in History, where we honor their legacies. From artists to leaders, their impact lives on. If you find their stories meaningful, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay connected.
Thank you to all our amazing channel members for your generous support.
Cephas Jones, the acclaimed American actor best known for his Emmy-winning role as William Hill in the television drama This Is Us, died on August 19, 2023, at the age of 66 due to a long-standing pulmonary illness. His death was natural, the result of chronic health complications, and it underscored both the vulnerability of the human body and the extraordinary resilience he displayed in continuing to perform despite years of medical struggle. In contrast to the violent or politically charged deaths that often shift the course of nations, Jones's passing reflected the modern challenge of living and creating art while navigating serious illness, a struggle that quietly mirrored the perseverance of many whose lives he represented on screen. The immediate consequences of his passing were felt most deeply in the artistic community. Co-stars, writers, and audiences expressed profound grief, noting how his portrayals brought a rare depth and humanity to television. His work on This Is Us resonated with millions because it captured themes of redemption, love, and mortality. The news of his death prompted widespread reflection on how actors can shape public understanding of life's most difficult truths. For fans, his passing was not only the loss of a beloved performer, but also a moment to re-engage with the emotional honesty he brought to his roles. In many ways, Jones's death amplified his legend. Although he had a long career in theater and television, his portrayal of William, a father seeking forgiveness in the twilight of his life, became a cultural touchstone. The timing of his death gave new weight to those performances, with audiences revisiting his work through the lens of his own mortality. Just as the deaths of historic figures like Joan of Arc or Lincoln intensified the meaning of their legacies, Jones's passing magnified the poignancy of his most iconic role, ensuring it would be remembered as a defining portrayal of vulnerability and grace. Jones's death also highlights humanity's enduring relationship with mortality, memory, and art. While rulers are immortalized in statues or political myth, actors live on through recorded performances that preserve their voice, expressions, and emotional truths. Cephas Jones is remembered not only through awards and tributes, but through the living art he left behind, which continues to comfort, inspire, and challenge audiences. Ultimately, his passing demonstrates that while death is inevitable, art provides a form of immortality. Through film, television, and the enduring memory of characters who embody universal struggles, Cephas Jones remains alive in the cultural imagination, an enduring reminder of the power of storytelling to transcend human mortality. Diane Webber, born Marguerite M. Pei, was a celebrated American model, dancer, and actress whose career flourished in the 1950s and 1960s. She passed away on August 19, 2008, at the age of 76 from natural causes after a battle with cancer. Her death, though quiet and private compared to the public spectacle surrounding many historic figures, reflected the realities of her era, the fleeting nature of fame in a rapidly evolving entertainment industry, and the challenges women faced in defining their identities beyond the roles imposed by Hollywood and popular culture. Webber gained prominence as one of Playboy magazine's earliest Playmates of the Month in 1955 and 1956. Her image represented a post-war America captivated by changing standards of beauty, sexuality, and femininity. Later, she became equally well known for her career as a professional dancer, particularly in belly dancing, where she was admired for elevating the art form with both elegance and respect. Her death did not alter the course of global politics or culture, but it served as a reminder of how figures in popular entertainment reflect and influence the values of their time. The immediate consequences of Webber's passing were most strongly felt within the communities she influenced: dancers, artists, and historians of American popular culture. Obituaries and tributes highlighted her dual career, emphasizing how she navigated the transition from pin-up modeling to respected performer. In this way, her death amplified her legend by reconnecting her image to two distinct cultural moments: Playboy's rise as a symbol of post-war liberation and the growing respect for global dance traditions in mid-century America. Webber's passing also underscores the way humanity remembers figures who embody cultural shifts. Unlike rulers or revolutionaries whose deaths changed the course of history, she left her mark through the evolution of art and beauty standards. Her photographs and performances are preserved in archives, dance schools, and cultural memory, granting her a form of immortality rooted in artistic representation rather than political power. Ultimately, Diane Webber's death reminds us that mortality may claim the individual, but cultural influence often outlives the body. She remains immortalized through images, performances, and the movements she inspired in both modeling and dance. In remembering her, we see how art and representation become vessels of memory, ensuring that figures like Webber continue to shape ideals of beauty, creativity, and expression long after their passing. Groucho Marx, one of the most iconic figures in American comedy, died on August 19, 1977, at the age of 86 from pneumonia after a prolonged period of ill health. His passing, peaceful yet marked by the slow decline of old age, stood in contrast to the fast-paced wit and boundless energy that had defined his career. Unlike leaders whose violent deaths reshaped nations, Groucho's natural end reflected the inevitability of time, even for those who seemed larger than life. It also echoed the challenges of his era, the fading of vaudeville in the golden age of Hollywood, and the transition into a new media landscape where younger comedians were redefining humor for a new generation. The immediate consequences of his death were felt most profoundly in the entertainment world. Tributes poured in from actors, writers, and comedians who had been influenced by his razor-sharp wordplay and fearless satire. Ironically, his death was overshadowed in the press by the passing of Elvis Presley just 3 days earlier, a reminder of how the cycles of fame and cultural attention can shift dramatically. Yet within the comedy community, Groucho's loss was seen as the end of an era, as he was the last surviving Marx brother and thus the final living link to a revolutionary chapter in American entertainment. In many ways, his death amplified his legend. With the Marx Brothers films already enjoying renewed popularity thanks to television broadcasts and college screenings in the 1960s and 70s, Groucho had become a cult figure for younger audiences. His passing solidified his status as not just a comedian of his own time, but a timeless figure whose humor transcended generations. His biting wit, whether in films like Duck Soup or on his quiz show You Bet Your Life, became enshrined as a model of satire that challenged authority, hypocrisy, and social conventions. Groucho's death highlights humanity's relationship with mortality and memory through performance. While rulers are immortalized in statues or political myth, comedians achieve a unique kind of immortality. Their words and gestures preserved on film, endlessly rewatched and rediscovered. Groucho remains present not only in cinematic archives, but also in the rhythms of modern comedy, where his influence is still felt. Ultimately, Groucho Marx's passing reminds us that while death silences the performer, art keeps the performance alive. His legacy endures in the laughter he still provokes, a testament to the power of humor to outlast mortality and to remain one of the most enduring forms of cultural memory. Gregory, the groundbreaking comedian, civil rights activist, and social critic, passed away on August 19, 2017 at the age of 84 due to heart failure. His death, though from natural causes, symbolized the end of a life spent pushing against the boundaries of both comedy and politics. Gregory had transformed the role of the comedian from mere entertainer to cultural provocateur, wielding humor as a weapon against racism, poverty, and war. His passing came at a time when America was once again grappling with questions of racial inequality, making his absence all the more poignant. Gregory first rose to prominence in the early 1960s, when his satirical stand-up acts directly confronted segregation and racial injustice, something almost unheard of for black comedians at the time. His refusal to shy away from politics marked him as both daring and controversial, a voice that challenged audiences to laugh while confronting uncomfortable truths. By the time of his death, he had long transcended the comedy stage, becoming a respected activist who marched alongside Martin Luther King Jr., protested the Vietnam War, and advocated for health reform. The immediate response to Gregory's death was one of reverence. Figures from across entertainment, politics, and activism paid tribute, emphasizing not only his contributions to comedy, but also his role in advancing civil rights. His loss reminded the nation of a generation of activists who had risked careers, and often their lives, to challenge systemic racism. While he had not been in the public eye as prominently in his later years, his passing reignited appreciation for his trailblazing work, especially among younger generations who discovered his legacy through digital archives and recordings. Gregory's death amplified his legend in the sense that it highlighted the dual nature of his contributions. He was not only a performer who redefined comedy, but also a public intellectual who used his platform to demand justice. His influence extended to later comedians like Richard Pryor, Chris Rock, and Dave Chappelle, who inherited his tradition of blending humor with social critique. In reflecting on Gregory's passing, we see how humanity uses memory to honor those who challenged us to confront truth. While monuments often honor political leaders, Gregory is immortalized through his words, recordings, and the comedians who follow in his footsteps. His life and death underscore how art and activism can intertwine, leaving echoes that remind us of the power of laughter to inspire change and the enduring human drive to remember those who dared to speak out. Jack Riley, best remembered as the neurotic Elliot Carlin on The Bob Newhart Show, and later as the voice of Stu Pickles in the beloved children's series Rugrats, died on August 19, 2016 at the age of 80. His passing was due to pneumonia, a natural yet sobering end that reflected the vulnerability of aging, even for those whose voices and characters seemed timeless. In many ways, Riley's death symbolized the fading of an era of television comedy that balanced sharp wit with understated charm, a style that shaped American sitcoms throughout the 1970s. Riley's career unfolded during a period when television was becoming a central fixture in American households. His role as Elliot Carlin, a perpetually dissatisfied, hilariously anxious patient, captured the growing cultural conversation about mental health, urban life, and the everyday struggles of modern identity. When news of his death broke, tributes poured in from fellow actors and fans who recognized that Riley had left an indelible mark both as a character actor and as a voice that had carried across generations. The immediate consequence of his passing was a rekindled appreciation for his work, especially among those who grew up with Rugrats. As Stu Pickles, Riley voiced a bumbling yet endearing father figure, offering humor and relatability to parents while entertaining children. His dual legacy, bridging adult comedy in live-action television and family-friendly humor in animation, meant that his death resonated across age groups. For many, it brought a wave of nostalgia, reminding audiences how performers can shape the shared cultural imagination of entire generations. Unlike figures whose deaths shift the trajectory of history, Riley's passing instead amplified his legend by highlighting the breadth of his contributions. He may not have altered political or social movements, but he enriched cultural life in ways that endure. His characters revealed society's anxieties, absurdities, and tenderness, helping audiences laugh at their own flaws while feeling understood. In reflecting on Jack Riley's death, we see how humanity uses memory to honor not only those who wield power, but also those who give voice to our collective joys and vulnerabilities. Actors like Riley are immortalized in reruns, voice recordings, and the laughter they sparked. Through television, animation, and the nostalgia of audiences, Riley remains alive in cultural memory. A reminder that even in mortality, art can preserve the humor and humanity of a performer long after their voice has gone silent. Hayden Rourke, best remembered for his role as the skeptical and often exasperated Dr. Alfred Bellows on the classic sitcom I Dream of Jeannie, died on August 19, 1987, at the age of 76. His death was from natural causes, closing the curtain on a career that had spanned stage, film, and television during a transformative era in American entertainment. Unlike the sudden or violent deaths that often shape dramatic historical narratives, Rourke's passing was quiet, reflective of a man who had built his legacy through steady, reliable performances rather than scandal or spectacle. Rourke's career developed in the mid-20th century, a time when television was cementing itself as the dominant cultural force in American life. His portrayal of Dr. Bellows, a military psychiatrist constantly trying to expose Jeannie's magical secrets, embodied the era's fascination with authority, science, and the limits of rational explanation. The character's humorous frustration reflected broader cultural tensions of the 1960s, when technological advances, social change, and lingering Cold War anxieties collided with popular escapist entertainment. In this sense, his death in 1987 marked the loss of a performer who had been part of television's golden age of imaginative storytelling. The immediate consequence of Rourke's passing was a wave of remembrance from fans of I Dream of Jeannie, a show that continued to thrive in syndication long after its original run. His death rekindled appreciation for his ability to embody authority figures with warmth and humor, ensuring he would not be forgotten even as the entertainment industry moved into new eras of programming. Unlike leading stars who dominate cultural memory, Rourke's contribution highlighted the essential role of character actors, those who provide balance, depth, and believability to fantastical narratives. Though his death did not shift historical trajectories, it did amplify his legend in subtler ways. For fans, Rourke's enduring presence in reruns kept him alive in cultural memory, a testament to how television preserves performance beyond the actor's lifetime. His portrayal of Dr. Bellows remains iconic precisely because it captured the universal human struggle to make sense of the inexplicable. Reflecting on Rourke's death, we see how mortality touches not only the powerful or revolutionary, but also the dependable storytellers who shape our shared imaginations. Humanity immortalizes such figures through reruns, nostalgic tributes, and continued cultural relevance. In remembering Hayden Rourke, we acknowledge the quiet but profound impact of actors whose artistry allows us to laugh, wonder, and recognize ourselves in the mirror of entertainment. Augustus Caesar, the first emperor of Rome, died on August 19, 14 CE, in Nola at the age of 75. His death was from natural causes, likely complications of old age, though ancient historians such as Tacitus and Cassius Dio suggested rumors of foul play, whispers that his wife Livia may have hastened his end to secure her son Tiberius's succession. Whether true or not, the speculation reflects the political intrigue and suspicion that defined Rome's imperial court. Augustus's passing marked more than the death of a ruler. It was the end of an era. He had transformed Rome from a republic torn by civil war into a stable empire, ruling for over 4 decades. His leadership ushered in the Pax Romana, a period of relative peace and prosperity, though maintained through strict control and military dominance. His death, therefore, forced Rome to confront its first imperial transition. Would the empire he built survive without the man whose vision and charisma had held it together? The immediate consequence was uncertainty. The Roman Senate and elite quickly moved to confirm Tiberius as emperor, cementing the precedent of dynastic succession that would shape imperial politics for centuries. Augustus's careful planning, he had adopted and groomed Tiberius for power, ensured relative stability. But his absence revealed the vulnerability of a system reliant on a single figure's authority. For the Roman people, his death was deeply felt. His body was carried through Rome in a grand funeral procession, and he was deified by the Senate, establishing the tradition of emperor worship that blended politics with religion. Far from diminishing his legacy, Augustus's death amplified it. His reign became the model for later emperors, and his name itself, Caesar Augustus, became a title passed down to successors, symbolizing ultimate authority. Through monuments like the Pacis and literary works commissioned during his lifetime, such as Virgil's Aeneid, Augustus was immortalized as the bringer of peace and the restorer of Rome's greatness. Reflecting on Augustus's death, we see how mortality confronts even those who shape empires. His passing illustrates humanity's drive to preserve memory through ritual, art, and narrative, ensuring leaders transcend their human limitations. Augustus's deification and enduring presence in Western history reveal how societies turn death into continuity, transforming rulers into symbols of order, power, and destiny long after their mortal end. Lolita, also known as Tokitai, was a female orca who lived for more than 5 decades in captivity at the Miami Seaquarium. Captured in 1970 from the waters of Penn Cove, Washington, she became one of the last surviving members of the southern resident killer whale population held in marine parks. Her death on August 18, 2023, at the age of 57, was attributed to kidney disease, a natural cause of decline that was likely accelerated by decades of captivity. The circumstances of her passing reflected a profound tension between human fascination with marine life and the ethical questions of keeping intelligent, wide-ranging animals confined for entertainment. Lolita's death came at a moment when there was renewed hope for her release. Plans had been underway to relocate her to a sea sanctuary in her native waters, an effort supported by animal welfare groups and members of her indigenous caretakers, the Lummi Nation, who viewed her as family. The suddenness of her decline underscored the urgency and fragility of these efforts. It also reignited debate about the morality of orca captivity, a controversy sharpened by documentaries such as Blackfish, which had already shifted public opinion against marine parks. The immediate consequence of her passing was widespread mourning, both among animal advocates and the public, who had long seen her as a symbol of resilience. For the southern resident orca population, already endangered, her death marked not only the loss of an individual, but also a reminder of how human exploitation had fragmented their pods and diminished their numbers. In death, Lolita's legend only grew. She became more than a performing animal. She became a powerful emblem of the struggle for animal rights and a symbol of humanity's evolving understanding of the natural world. Her story continues to inspire campaigns against captivity and for conservation, ensuring her memory influences future policies and cultural attitudes. Lolita's passing reveals much about humanity's relationship with mortality, power, and memory. Her long life in confinement showed the lengths to which humans assert control over nature, while the reverence for her after death demonstrates a collective yearning to reconcile with those choices. Through memorials, art, and activism, She has been immortalized not just as an orca, but as a reminder of the responsibility humans bear toward the creatures with whom we share the planet.